A Kitten's Lesson, a story about trust and truth. Once upon a time, in a cozy little village surrounded by rolling green hills, there lived a playful kitten named Whiskers. Whiskers had the fluffiest orange fur that gleamed like autumn leaves in the sunlight, and his bright green eyes sparkled with mischief. He was full of energy and loved to play, but more than anything, he loved to tell stories. Whiskers' stories were always exciting, filled with adventure and mystery. But there was one little problem: he didn't always tell the truth. Sometimes his imagination would stretch the truth so far that his tales became more fantasy than reality. One crisp morning, Whiskers dashed into the village square, his tail fluffed up in excitement. "Everyone, there's a giant dog in the forest. He has teeth as big as carrots and eyes that glow in the dark." His voice was filled with urgency, and the other animals gasped in fear. The rabbits immediately scurried into their burrows, the birds took off into the sky, and even the old badger locked his door. But the village fox, wise and clever, narrowed his golden eyes. "Are you sure about this, Whiskers?" he asked. Whiskers hesitated for a moment, but then flicked his tail confidently. "Well, maybe I didn't see him up close, but I'm sure he's there," he said with a sly grin. The fox sighed and went to check the forest. He sniffed the air, searched between the trees, and looked under the bushes, but there was no giant dog to be found. When he returned, he shook his head. "There's nothing there, Whiskers. You tricked us." The next day, Whiskers came up with another story. "I discovered a hidden cave by the river, filled with golden fish. More fish than any cat could ever eat." The other kitten's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Follow me," he called, leading them to the place he had described. But when they arrived, there was no cave, no golden fish, just a plain old tree stump covered in moss. "Whiskers, you tricked us again," one kitten grumbled, flicking his tail in frustration. Day after day, Whiskers continued his little tricks. At first, the animals were amused, but soon they grew tired of his games. Whenever he tried to tell a story, they just rolled their eyes or walked away. The rabbits wouldn't play with him, the squirrels wouldn't listen to his tales, and the kittens stopped inviting him on their adventures. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and orange, Whiskers strolled by the river, feeling lonely. The water shimmered under the fading light, reflecting the twinkling stars above. As he gazed at the gentle ripples, a faint whimper caught his ears. Turning quickly, he spotted a small puppy, barely older than himself, stuck deep in the muddy riverbank. The poor creature's legs were trapped in the thick, sticky mud, and no matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't free himself. Whiskers' heart raced. "I have to help," he thought. He sprinted back to the village, his paws barely touching the ground. "Help! Help! A puppy is stuck in the mud by the river. He's in real danger," he cried. But no one listened. "Please, this time, it's true," Whiskers begged, his voice cracking with desperation. The other animals just shook their heads and turned away. Feeling helpless, Whiskers ran back alone and grabbed onto the puppy's fur, pulling with all his strength. But the mud held on tightly, refusing to let go. "What do I do?" he whispered, his paws sinking deeper into the cold, wet earth. Just then, a familiar voice spoke behind him. Maybe we should trust him this time. It was the fox. He had followed Whiskers, just in case. When he saw the struggling puppy, his sharp eyes softened. "Stay strong, little one. I'll get help." The fox let out a loud, commanding bark, and soon the other animals came running. Seeing the trapped puppy, they quickly formed a rescue team. The badger used his strong claws to dig away the mud. The rabbits brought sturdy vines to pull him out, and the birds flapped their wings to keep him warm. Together, they freed the shivering puppy and carried him back to the village, where he was cleaned and comforted. Whiskers sighed with relief, but guilt weighed heavy on his heart. He looked at his friends, his ears drooping. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "I shouldn't have tricked you before. I see now that trust is more important than clever stories." The fox placed a gentle paw on his shoulder. "Honesty is the key to friendship, Whiskers. If you tell the truth, we will always listen." From that day on, Whiskers still told stories, but now they were filled with truth. And because his friends could trust him, they listened more than ever. The village once again echoed with laughter and adventure, and Whiskers, with his bright green eyes full of warmth, never felt alone again.